it allows to people from different spheres to use and to understand the notions from sphere of memory studies, because we understood that people from history, from history of art, from sociology, from political studies, they can use the same notions with the different meanings. So our aim was to create the common field of understanding and a common field of conversation. And really, we see that this project, our glossary, is quite popular because we constantly listen feedbacks from people from different universities, from not only from Odessa, yes, because it would be natural, but from Ukrainian Catholic University, from Shevchenko University, and others. So our colleagues use it in their work with students, and I'm really absolutely happy about this, because our idea to prepare a short glossary, the notions which we use each day, transformed in a key project of past future art, and it's really very interesting for us to work on this topic. And really, I will not speak a lot about our different activities, and I will go directly to the topic which I proposed, topic of imperial heritage and artistic ways and artistic instruments of working through the imperial past. So it's a project which we prepared for the new European Biennale, Malta Biennale of Contemporary Art, this year. And if somebody have an opportunity to visit Malta till the end of May, you have an opportunity to see it. And spoiler for people in Odessa, you will have an opportunity to see this project from May 2025 in Odesa National Fine Art Museum. So we will show these projects here. So what is the idea and why we decided to propose our project to Malta Biennale? It's quite strange from the first glance, because where is Malta, where is Ukraine? We really, last 2 years, we work only with the topic of Russia-Ukraine war, with artistic reflections and with different topics of the memory. And what was the point why we decided to work with this new space, new cultural space in Europe? So the most famous Biennale is Venice Biennale, yes, and now this year 3 Ukrainian pavilions really is presented there, and it's quite wonderful. But it's the most old, the most respected, the most criticized Biennale, and Malta proposed the new one. And from our colleagues, from our Italian really colleagues, we knew that they want to have Ukrainian pavilion, Ukrainian national pavilion, not thematic, but national pavilion. And we spoke with the representatives of the team, and they after these conversations, we understood that we will prepare the pavilion. So their main idea is Malta need to renovate its cultural heritage and to work through its heritage. What is the problem with Malta heritage? Malta was a colony. Malta was a colony of Great Britain for a long time. And can I please ask to mute? It's some sound. Maybe somebody. Oh, but all the same. So Malta is a colony, and it was a colony for a very long time, and it's not so visible colony because for people in different countries, when Malta speak about its colonial past, people say, "What colony? You're white. You're not real colony. It's okay for you. It's you had a normal empire, British Empire, and it's okay for you. You had no any problems." And they said, "No, we had problems. We had problems, and now we don't know what to do with our heritage. What is our heritage, really?" And Biennale was launched as an instrument to how to find the ways of working through these past. What with it? They say, we don't want to be the British colony, but our language is half Semitic, half something else. Really, I can acknowledge because we participated in the opening of Biennale, and I forget to take this. Боже, як це буде навушники? I forget to take the equipment for translation. Yeah, thank you. So the holes in my head. And I listened the ceremony in Maltese, and I understood that I can catch the main meaning of the speech. So I understood that I'm sitting at the opening of Biennale. I understood that what is going on, but on this Semitic ground, it was such a buildings from Italian, from English, from different absolutely understandable words. So they and people from Malta, they said for us, we don't know what to do with our language really, because it's half Italian, half British, half Semitic, half something. If we will ask tourists who visit Malta, what is your impression? They will say, "Oh, it's great heritage of Malta, Maltonites, so hospitaliers, and so on and so far, Middle Ages, and British, wonderful British cuisine." British style of driving, British this, British this, British this. So really, people on Malta don't know strictly what to do with the heritage, how to understand what is a part of our nature, what is something foreign. What can we do with this foreign part? This foreign part formed us as we are now, and we spoke with the representatives of the team of Malta Biennale, and we said we feel your pain. When we speak with different people from different countries, and we see Ukraine was a colony, people say, "No, you're white. You're white. You look like Russians. You are the same. You have some dialect. So it's not imperial experience. So it was very interesting for us to listen our Maltese colleagues because it was such a mirror for us. When they told us the main topics of Biennale, we understood we will do Ukrainian pavilion, and the alone problem where we can find resource to do it. So the main topics, they were 4 topics of Biennale. The first is decolonization. It's the most common word which is used in all the world now in different meanings. So okay, decolonization. Let's going on. The second is Mediterranean civilization, Mediterranean world. And 2 more topics is female godness. It's a very important figure for mythology, for Maltese mythology, and piracy. And we decided when we spoke, we understood that for us it's a chance to create a new narration on a cultural field. So when we work with some topics or with some teams, yes, we can install some facts, some memories, some topics in some plot. So understanding of the past and understanding of what is heritage could be worked out when we find the narrative in which we will see it. When we work in academic field with the topics of imperial, colony, imperial violence, and so on and so forth, sometimes it's very hard to find the right methodology. And for us, it was such a challenge how to go in this field, on this in this space with the topic of Ukraine, how to explain what is going on now in Ukraine, what is our experience in the war, how can we speak and how can we explain to people from different countries and from people from Malta what is going on, and why can we speak about imperial experience of Ukraine. It was very interesting for us that Biennale proposed to the view of Europe from far south of Europe. So they said, let's look at Europe and create the new picture of Europe from far south of Europe, not from the centers, known centers, understandable centers, Paris, London, Berlin, but from very, very far south. Malta is closer to Africa than to Stockholm, but it's a part of Europe, and it's a part of European history. And great and very important events of European history happened on Malta. For example, at the Second World War, the battle for Malta was one of the crucial points of the war, and it was 2 years of battle to Malta, and it's a very important part of European history. And they said, let's look from our point of view. We are closer to Africa, but we are Europe. And for us, it was a hint where to go when we tried to find the way how to speak. We proposed to look at Ukraine from Malta. And if we look from Malta to Ukraine, we look to north, really. We look to north. And the most natural point which we can present on Malta from Ukraine is the city of Odessa. And we decided to present a project about Odessa. And we decided to propose to look for Odessa not as a south of Europe, but as a north of Mediterranean. Because really, this point at the map, for many, many centuries, from the middle of the first millennium BC, was this point, Odessa, yes? It was a bridge between the civilizations. It was a bridge or gate between the worlds, and it connected Mediterranean world with other worlds, with Great Scythian world, with imperial worlds, with so this bridge was built in different directions, but it was built from this point. And our idea was to show Odessa as the north of Mediterranean. And with this idea, so we invented this idea as curators. And after this, so curators are important persons, but they don't prepare artistic arts works. We went to Alevtina Kakhidze, who is a very prominent Ukrainian artist, and her works are in very respectable world museums in Tate museum is Alektina's work, and really she is very popular. She was a part of Manifesta in 2022, and so I will not describe her artistic biography. She's really very interesting Ukrainian artist. And when we came to her with our idea, we told her, Alevtina, we have such an idea, how can we work with it? And our idea was really to propose her to work, to move in her projects with plants. Really, she has brilliant, extremely interesting projects about the plants occupants. So she works with invasive plants and not as a metaphor. She's gardener. She's gardener, and she really he contemplates her garden to understand the relations between different plants. And our idea was maybe we can propose Alevtina to work with plants and to show these relations through the relations of plants. And she said, no, we will go other way. Yes, I want to prepare the project with you, and it will be the project about Odessa, but it will be the project not about the plants. It will be the project about my family, about my mother and my father, because they met in Odessa. They met in Odessa, and it was very interesting for us because we didn't know this moment. And she said that her mother, who was, they are not alive now, no mother, no father, and her mother was from Donetsk region, from Zdanivka, it's Donetsk, and she wanted to, when she was young, she wanted to live near the sea. And the alone way to move to Odessa and live near the sea was to work at the plant, the rope plant, Kanatny Zavod, because here a person from other region could get their resident permission. Because it was Soviet Union, it was not so easy to move from one city to another, from one region to another. And she decided to work very hard on this rope plant to live near the sea. And her father was a student in Maritime Academy, and they met. And the point of her story was that really her mother was Ukrainian and her father was Georgian, and they lived in Soviet Union and they lived in empire, and they both, they're the representatives of people colonized. And sometimes the situation goes in very strange way. So Alexina never saw her grandma because her grandma was sure that Alexina and her family are Russians. And she didn't want to have Russian relatives, but they were Ukrainians. And they didn't recognize one another. And so it's a personal story which was transformed in this project from south to north. So our proposal was to look at Odessa not as at south of empire, but to north of Mediterranean. And the project, the main part of the project is video, is the film, and it was prepared with other artist, Roman Himei, who works with video. This video is documentation of performance. Documentation of performance, and we prepared it in Odessa in January, the beginning of February this year, and this video is really brilliant, and I invite people who can visit it in Odessa or in Malta. Nobody knows the different opportunities because it's really very, very impressive. So it's a story. It's a story. So I will say a few words about the concept, and here I show our pavilion. So it was proposed really for us, not occasionally, because this is a very important building for Malta, Villa Portelli. Villa Portelli belonged to a British admiral who lived here till Malta independence. So in 1987, British Navy came out from Malta, and he lived this building, this wonderful villa. She's really very beautiful, and it was empty for many years. They tried to organize a school here or something, but for last 20 years it was empty, and Biennale was one of the reasons to renovate this building, to take it back to life, and to think what to do with it. And it will be Maritime Museum here. They are think about it. And to Biennale, this building was renovated. So it's very symbolical. They said for us, look, it's a building with imperial past. It's very beautiful. It's very impressive, and here lived a family of British military person. And really, when Alevtina, our artist, when she spoke with people living in neighborhood near villa, it was a situation when she waited before the gate when it will be opened. She spoke with people near, and they told, "Ah, yeah, we remember. We remember. We had no opportunity to go to the beach because it was prohibited. It was private." And we needed to go somewhere. Although we live here near the shore. So people remember really this situation of injustice, and so this building is very beautiful, but it is it carries this memory of British military person. So here in this building, we prepared Ukrainian pavilion. Here is Polish, Spanish, and Italian pavilion. So in one this building, and the fourth floor is ours. And the project which was prepared for Malta Biennale, for Ukrainian pavilion of Malta Biennale, contained three different parts. I said about video. Here is a map. You can see if you will use your imagination, you will see a map. On this map, you can see Malta. We can see Odessa. It's here. Yalta, Crimea. Mariupol, and Batumi. Batumi is a native city of Aleftina's father. So you see the blue names. There are the cities near the sea. Kyiv is the capital of Ukraine, and we can't see it on this picture. Out of light, it was Moscow. So as a symbol of empire. So it was a map. So such visualization that Odessa is more close to Malta than to many other places, other cities. This video, which was prepared as a part of our pavilion, the title of this video was "All Good." And this video was prepared. We visited rope factory, maritime academy, some places in Odessa, and it was really great work because people in rope factory and in maritime academy were very supportive, and it was really a great experience of preparation of all this artistic work. When she told about her idea, it was she involved people in discussion, in conversation, and it was really a part of this artistic work. So site-specific installation was prepared on such transparent panels, and it was a family story of Alevtina, and such a timeline, and this timeline was prepared in such a way to see the parallels and different points of history of Ukraine and Malta. And her Georgian part, the Georgian part of her family was present here too. So a person who visited this installation went through the stories of Malta, of Ukraine, of Georgia, and in different points of our stories, our histories, the histories of these countries, we have such moments which are very close to one another and absolutely different. And Alevtina showed the story of her family. It's a real story. It's nothing imaginable in this story. And she told about the family story, and the family story, as each family of mainly each family in Ukraine have such checkpoints, sorry for this word, such very important historical events which influence the private life, such as Holodomor, such as Second World War, Perestroika, and others. And we really try to see as a mirror Malta history and Ukrainian history. And Alevtina showed such a story, and we understood when we spoke with people, we understood that it's a better way, because when we use the textbook, we read in textbook about big battles, about big events, about such umbrella events, and when you touch a very private story, you see such features of historical experience which is impossible to see in any other optics. So it was important to explain people inside our pavilion what is residence permission. So when you speak about Soviet ideology, when you speak about some common things, you don't see this the situation of absence of freedom, because you need this residence permission. And we saw that people really didn't understand. They say, what does it mean? What does it mean? And we explained, you see, you need in your passport, in your documents, this residence permission. And if you have this residence permission, you will have no job, you will have you will not allowed to live here. And they say, why? We said, because it's the Soviet Union. And only our colleagues from Poland, they say, we understand. Yeah, we understand. We understand. Don't explain. We understand all these things. We lived in the same situation. And this personal tragedy, really personal tragedy, she never saw her grandma. She never saw her grandma. Grandma really didn't understood who is she. And when grandma was not alive, Alevtina was invited by her relatives to Batumi, to Georgia. And when he came in this big family house, she said, I felt that somebody looked at me. I didn't understand, and I tried to find by my eyes, and I saw the portrait of grandma. She looked at me. So this meeting appeared, and this meeting appeared after this death. So it was really very important for us to show the story which happened in January this year, because really we postponed the preparation of this video or this film, because in January, Alevtina was very busy with her relatives, with her aunt who lived in Pokrovsk. After dreadful shelling of Pokrovsk, they were wounded, her aunt and her uncle, and they were in hospital in Dnipro, and Alevtina visited them, and her aunt said, you ought to take my dogs, I have 3 dogs, and she managed to find these dogs and bring them to Kiev, to her, not to her house, because she has 2 big dogs, but she found a new home for these dogs. So this story about Donetsk region, which was a native region for Alevtina, this story was prolonged, and really her mother died on checkpoint. She lived on occupied territory, and she died on checkpoint, going to Ukraine, and for many people, it appeared such a window to understanding what is going on in Ukraine. This story with all the layers, which we can see in textbook, really, all these tragic pages, and this explanation how we moved to Donetsk region from Vinnytsia region, because it was hunger. And grandfather said, we will go to the Donetsk region because in mines they have termazok, they have food for people who are working on mines. This artistic installation presents the story of Ukraine in such a way which is impossible in any other way, and such a way, such an instrument of working with the past, working through the past, gives us additional opportunities, gives us the way how to find our new optics. And it was, when we prepared this pavilion, it was not only a lone aim to speak about Ukraine, to tell about Ukraine. It was really the most important part of our work, but it was important for us too to create the field of common conversation, to create a field of common discussion, because we spoke for our discussion, our public program included, for example, a discussion about the colonial experience, and we had experts from Kenya, from Malta, from Italy, and from Ukraine. Italy is not a colonial country, but artistic director of Malta Biennale, Sofia, she is Italian, and she was a part of this discussion. So we shared our experience. So Kenya as a classical colony, Malta and Ukraine as strange colonies. Yes, and we shared our experience, and we understood that we have many common points, more common points as it seems from the first glance. I can speak very long about it. I will save your time. It was important for us. So here you can see the parts of this installation on transparent panels in our pavilion. So here are the family photos with comments and with this story how parents met and what do they find in Odessa, and how their life was developed after their meeting really in Ukraine. Here is Alevtina explaining her installation to the visitors of the pavilion. And one more part, very important part of our work, of our public project program, was a performance of Alevtina Kahidze, which refers to the Yalta to Malta summit of 1989. It was the summit which finished the Cold War. Very symbolic event, and it was called From Yalta to Malta because they met on the ships, and they organized such a symbolic space of where American leader and the Soviet leader met. And in Malta, the Cold War was stopped. So it was from Yalta to Malta. It was not only geographical meanings, Yalta, so that Gorbachev moved from Yalta on the ship, but it was from Yalta agreement in the Second World War. So this system of collective safety, which was started from Yalta, and so the last point was on Malta in 1989. So wonderful event which launched great hopes, because people hoped that this bipolar world is in the past, and now we are going to something good. And Alevtina prepared such a performance, which with the title From Malta to Yalta, and it was organized on ferry from Birgu to Valletta, and it was very short, because the ferry from Birgu to Valletta goes around 10 minutes, and it was such a performance. You see her in her artistic image here. And what was their idea? It was a normal ferry with normal people who simply go in by their business. So they understood that Biennale is happening, so they were not afraid when some artists appear and start to make something. Alevtina invited people. She said, look, it was a summit from Yalta to Malta in 1989, and I want to invite you to Yalta. I want to invite you to trip from Malta to Yalta, but I can't invite you now because Yalta is not accessible for us. It's an occupation. And this performance was really devoted to the situation with human rights, to Crimean Tatars, to people who are in prison now. And it was very important because there were many artists from Biennale who came from different countries. They knew about the performance and they came, they attended. And Alevtina asked people to talk to one another. And here you see on this picture the conversation between a Ukrainian girl from Mariupol and a Polish artist. And Alevtina asked them to sit together. And this Ukrainian girl tell about her experiences. Yeah, because before, really, Alevtina knew about her experience because in pavilion, this girl came and said, I want to tell you my story. I want to tell you about my city. And after this, Alevtina asked this little girl to tell to Polish artists about her story. and to other people to sit together and share their stories. And we prepared such stickers with the names of political prisoners, and we gave it people who visited this performance, and say simply Google these names, and maybe you will know something which is unknown for you. So it was such a great experience, really. And I'm sure that in the sphere of philosophy of history, of memory studies, art is a space where the most important questions were formulated. Maybe not answers, but questions, which sometimes academy have no capacity to formulate. And very often in cultural history of 20th century and the beginning of 25th century, it's very often the launching point of discussion on some problem was started from artistic installation, from artistic work. And that's why we are absolutely sure that we can find something new, that we can find some new questions for important for all us in Europe, because it's not only, I will repeat, it's not only our main task to tell people about Ukraine. It's important for us to understand us as Europe, as parts or as different parts of Europe, people with very different experiences, and find together the image of Europe, to find together what to do, to find together the ways and the images of the future. Because if we have no the image of the future, we will not be there in it's impossible to go to future without its image. So it's not only our task, and people on Malta and in Poland and in different countries understand this. And when we meet on such in such spaces, in such artistic spaces, near their artistic messages, we can try to understand what is going on, what is wrong with Europe now, what is wrong with the world now, what was the mistake of this system of political collective defense, what are the values, which unites us, which are the values which stretch us apart. So it's our common task, and during our last discussion with experts from Malta, Kenya, and Ukraine, we felt that it's a field where we can try to find to formulate our values, to find the questions which are important for us, and try to create a frame of the image of the future, which is desirable for us. So really, when we answered for the questions of journalists who came for us, and they discussed with us our ideas, and they said, look, do we need now to transform the colonial theory? Do we need to find the new essence, the new frames? Does the theory of Edward Said works or doesn't work now? What do you think? And we saw that it's important for people in Italy, for example. We had many Italian journalists, to find the new frame even for colonial theory, because these strange colonies as Malta and as Ukraine came in this field and said, look, we have experience too. Let's try to speak about it. Maybe I will finish, because it seems to me that I speak too long. I'm grateful for your patience, and so thank you.
Oksana, thank you so much. It's amazing presentation. There are many ideas, imagination, experience. And let's start our discussion, our communication, our dialogue. Who would like to start? Questions, comments? Anda, please.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Oksana, for the presentation. I found this quite enlightening. I'm also a refugee into memory studies from philosophy, so I can relate to that very well. I have two questions, and they're a bit general, so maybe you can answer from your own experience. So first of all, in the beginning of the full-scale invasion, there was a lot of focus on decolonial Eastern European theory. So I felt that a lot of discussions happened at the time, and there was a lot of progress. But after the Gaza conflict started, this attention went away. I don't want to talk about Gaza right now, but I think a lot of the issues come from the fact that decolonial and anti-colonial theory is based on theories that deal with, well, white people colonizing places of colored people, or in the US, like slavery and so on. It has been extremely difficult to shift, like as an Eastern European myself, following these discussions, it's always extremely difficult to explain oneself from a position where you are pointed out as the white person. Speaking about your, in my case, for example, my experience as an immigrant, and I'm Romanian, we were not occupied, but we were under the influence, and it is a type of colonialism. It's extremely difficult to explain that narrative. And secondly, my second question is that, well, Russia is using very much right now a decolonial narrative in a very aggressive manner.
Yeah.
And it's really difficult to explain. I currently live in Spain. This resonates, Russia's narrative resonates very much here. It's, you know, anti-NATO expansion, anti-American influence, European cultural influence, you know, it's just really difficult to counter this. So my question is, overall, what are some of the strategies that you found that were effective in telling a decolonial story from the Ukrainian perspective?
Oh, thank you very much for this question. It's really the most crucial question, because when we go out of Ukraine, in Ukraine, it's so understandable. We see where is enemy, where is we, and it's okay. But when we go out, so we met obligatory person who will say, look, there was imperial is United States.
Right.
And that's all. And that's all. Russia is not empire. United States is empire. And so we are somewhere in between classic colonial theory, where British Empire is their empire.
Right.
And contemporary world, their United States are their empire. Yes, and so people try to, they have few patterns, and Ukraine, we can't find Ukraine in any of these patterns. And Russia, we can't find in these patterns. So British Empire, because British Empire have overseas colonies with people of color and so on and so forth. So here you don't see overseas colony. They are looks like Russians. They speak in a language which is very similar. So maybe it is not such a colonial experience. So I can maybe mention the work of our Ukrainian Institute. They make a big job now. And at last, Ukrainian Institute start to work in Africa, not in so-called global South because they have no resource, but in Africa, where this Russian decolonial discourse is very very powerful, very powerful,
exactly.
And they work with it, changing the meanings. And they said, look, you need to fight against United States. And so our Ukrainian Institute now working with so museum guides, which proposed some new instruments. So really, we are waiting when they will finish, and they work with colleagues from British ICOM because they have their own problems, because they understand that they have British Museum. It's a great museum, but we have problem with this museum. And our Ukrainian Institute work with it. So when we specially organized the discussion, inviting the representative of classic colony from Kenya. And sometimes when we go to the level of everyday life, we see very common things. For example, it was so in Ukrainian experience, in Maltese experience, in Kenyan experience, all these countries have the experience of independent country with the influence of other culture. And it was, for example, such a funny person in TV shows. And this, so if you remember Soviet culture, about some violence. They are so funny, they love them. The same situation was in Kenyan TV. When Kenya became their independent state, the British influence was very, very powerful. And when I found, I read a few texts written by Kenyan theorists, and I saw this the same pattern on Kenyan TV shows. It was funny, very positive black hero. But it was something as a toy, so it was not human being. And in this situation, when we see such a funny personage in TV show, it is not surprising that the remnants of the bones of people from Kenya are presented in European museums as artifacts. Not as remnants of human body, but as artifact, because it's not something equal. And in Maltese culture, we have the same. So British culture is the iconic, yes, and in Maltese culture, in books for children, they have such a local person, very funny. And when we start to share such experiences, they say, really, we have something common. We maybe.
Right. So from what I'm understanding, one of the strategies is a kind of aesthetic and narrative diplomacy, building reports with these different people who were colonized in different ways, and showing that actually no, that there is a difference in these narratives. Eastern Europeans are not all the same. They're not just white people who contributed to the colonial space or culture and so on. So yeah, it's countering disinformation with a kind of diplomacy from what I'm understanding, from what I'm hearing.
Yeah, sure. I'm absolutely agree. And I'm not sure that I have capacity to reload all the post-colonial theory, but to make some step to prepare some brick, maybe we can with these artistic instruments.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Who are the next? Tatiana, please.
I probably I have no questions, but I have some remarks. First of all, I would like to thank Oksana for her job, for her project, and her speech today. And it is very important to deliver the knowledge about colonial status of Ukraine and colonial legacy as one of cause of current Russo-Ukrainian war, because it is very so Ukraine tries to liberate itself from this post-colonial legacy, and Russia wants to realize its imperial ambitions as an ancestor of Russian Empire and Soviet Union, and so we know that collapse of Soviet Union was a biggest tragedy for Putin, and I'm sure that all means to deliver this idea by in discussion, in academic paper, by artistic means are very important, and by means of cultural diplomacy. So we see that we have a really very rich heritage, which was under the shadow of so-called great Russian culture. And fortunately, from my own experience, I spent 5 months in Netherlands at scientific residence, and in many private discussion, conferences, and so now Netherlands are doing a big job in rethinking their colonial experience. They erected monuments to slavery. They changed the exposition of museums, not only the anthropological museums, but also natural history museums, botanical gardens, because it's also part of colonial heritage, and so on. And in discussions and during the conferences, I asked Dutch colleagues, Dutch scholars, why Russian Empire was outside of the colonial study and main attention was paid to overseas experience, colonial experience, as you mentioned, the Portuguese Empire, Spanish Empire, and British Empire, the so-called classical empires. And from my experience, I learned that fortunately, Russian Empire and Soviet Union and contemporary Russia began to be included in colonial studies and colonial courses and colonial research in Dutch university and scientific projects, and I think this some kind of so shift of in academic narrative, and it is very important. So, and I think I do believe that we have to by all means available to Ukrainian academia, Ukrainian artists, Ukrainian cultural leaders to support this this idea and to support this changes in European and in European academia and global academia as well. So thank you once again for your very exciting talk.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Other question? Comments? Maybe I would like to ask you, Oksana, Elena, please, Elena.
Thank you. I want to say thank you very much for your interesting talk and for your interesting presentation. And my question is, what arguments did you use at this Biennale, to show and to explain for foreigners how Ukraine was colonized by Russia, and that this war is also another brutal continuation, another brutal way to continue colonization. And because you mentioned about family stories, about artistic installations, but this all are means. But what arguments did you use? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Look, as an artistic work, this work use artistic instruments. Yes, and really, I didn't say a very important thing, that this video, which was prepared by Alevtina, it's her excursion for her dead father in contemporary Odessa, and she tells about what is going on, and it's a story which she this installation. In this installation, you can see information. Look, so installation use the instruments of visibility. Yes, because Russia, for example, said only Russians took part in victory against Nazis. And so here in this installation, they show Ukrainians too. Look, please. They took part in the war against Nazis. And in video, she explains to her father, look, it's a war. Russians, so really Ukrainians laughed during this video. And you could see who is Ukrainian, because Ukrainians sat down, looked the video and laughed. And Alevtina, it was important for her because she said, look, it's a really crazy situation, because I'm going through Odessa and give an excursion to my dead father. And she said, look, here you died, and here Russia made aggression, and here they conquered again and again and again, and here they made aggression against Georgia, and here you died, and here mother died, and here Russia attacked again and attacked fully. So in her work, she used only artistic instruments and not theoretical arguments. When we spoke with journalists, with people who came for us for curators for interviews, we explained the character of the war as an imperial war. And we here really we explained this difference between different colonial theories. Really, we spoke with people in pavilion about these different narrations with overseas empires, about USA, and we explained the existing theories and showed that they doesn't work. We used this metaphor of short and long centuries. So short 20th century, which was finished in 1991 with the collapse of Soviet Union. And it's a great metaphor for Connerton when we speak about a long 19th and a short 20th century. We said, no, look, 20th century doesn't finish in 1921. It doesn't finish now, and it will be finished only with the death of the last empire. The last empire want to go back into life. So we explained it. But really, it was not a scientific conference. It was Biennale. It was a space of art. So we tried to use the instruments which are appropriate to this place, to this space.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lena. Any questions, comments? My questions, you started from the brief explanation or maybe description situation in Babyn Yar. New director Ilya Kryzhanovsky and some protest of your dream team of this center against his policy of memory, policy of commemoration, and policy of immersion. Can you explain some basic, maybe theoretical basic ideas of this conflict? Because I suppose it's very important for future commemoration of the war and commemoration in the art project, just colonial past and some traumatic events. Do you understand my questions and my comments? Yeah,
yeah, sure. It's such a great topic that we can sit here for a week.
I limitate my question brief.
It was really a joke about a week. I really can speak about it for a week. But if we speak about this conflict, it's a classic problem of representation. Some artists or some creators think that they can create such experience which will be equal to the experience of people of other time. And if you speak about Holocaust, for example, you try to create such a circumstances in which the visitor of the museum or memorial center will feel him or herself as a victim of Holocaust. So the idea of this artistic director was to create such circumstances in which people will feel themselves as a people in a moment before shooting. Really, so these immersive instruments, which he believes, I think that he believes now, not only that time, that their idea and that the aim of the art is to create such an experience, to create an equal experience, and immersion is one of the instruments. So I'm absolutely sure that it's impossible. You never, ever, never can create such circumstances which will allow you to feel the experience of other person. Really, I asked him that time what the level of depth you allow in your museum, because if you are sure that you can create the same experience, you need to be ready that people will die, because people die not only from bullets, people die from fear, people die from and really it was, the conflict was the same. And for us, it was out of ethic field, because it is immoral to tell, even to speak about that we are creating the same experience. It's mockery over victims. It's a humiliation. Because in contemporary museums, if we will mention Yad Vashem, for example, when I was on my educational program there, so they speak even about impossibility to use these humiliating images when people are staying naked at the edge of ravine, and they will be killed next moment. So people were humiliated in the last moment of their life, and now we humiliate them again by presenting these photos, by presenting these images. It's immoral. So contemporary memorial museums don't use this language. They don't use the language of immersion. And really, I had a great experience with my colleague, psychologist from Latvia, Irena Galuba. We worked with her on the emotional root of the person inside museum. And she told me the very simple thing, if a person appear in situation of panic, in situation of the person is meet something dreadful, when a person is in panic, it doesn't he or she can't create her own experience. What is the aim of museum? To create the experience of person, how to live this with knowledge. And if the person is in panic, it's impossible. A person in panic will flee or die. So we have two varieties, or to die or to flee. And when a person flee, try to forget. Forget. What is the aim of such a museum? It's a кімната страху, як це англійською буде правильно сказати. It's a room of horror. Yes, I don't know the correct English name of this entertainment. Then you want to be frightened. Yes, and to have adrenaline and so on and so forth. So if we create a museum as a room of something dreadful, yes, it's an entertainment. It's not a museum, and it's humiliating for the victims and for people whom we try to memorialize. So I will so shortly answer this way, maybe.
Thank you so much, Oksana. I know how difficult to stop this talking for you, because it's very traumatic, very immersive experience and very involved experience, because we have Oksana, you mentioned your position in this museum, but at the same time, our department, philosophy department, Odesa National University, our postgraduate Yana Barinova was the director of this museum, and we prepared together dissertation about this new media art and urban space, and we tried to find some philosophical and so deep theoretical foundation for this project, for such kind of. And this dissertation was successfully defended in Sorbonne. And Oksana was the member of this council for the defense of this dissertation. It's some remarks. Thank you so much, Oksana. Tatiana, please.
I also want to add a couple of words about the situation with Babyn Yar Memorial Complex, because it is in Kiev, and many people in Kiev were involved in the discussion about the concept of museum under the leadership of Krzyżanowski, and state concept of memorial space. And one of the reasons of such a promotion of this concept of Krzyżanowski was that this idea was supported by Russian money. So by these people who supported this financially this museum, but museums are always political institutions, and with Russian money in Kiev, in Ukraine, came Russian narrative about the concept of this museum. And we remember that one of the narrative was that Ukrainians were collaborants during the Holocaust and during the Second World War, and the Loznitsa film about Babyn Yar and so on. So this is why we have to be very, very careful with such things, and remember that art is always political, and it is always, and museums and memories is always political, and we have to be very, very careful with this. So just
thank you so much, Diana. And maybe other questions, comments, notes. Thank you so much of all of our participants. It's really, we are talking more than 1.5 hours, and maybe we are tired, or we have to think about, we have many impressions, many visual materials, many reasons for thinking, for theoretical discourse about this. And I suppose we will continue our dialogue with Oksana Dovgopolova, professor. She will come again, I suppose, with her new project. And I maybe would like to introduce Oksana theoretical interest, memory studies, and how to talk. Recently I remember about your course in a university, anthropology of historical, not historical anthropology, of anthropology of historical, and how to talk it more correct in English. I suppose all of these theoretical and philosophical and historical, because we are together, we are graduated historical faculty of Odesa National University, and after that we transformed our historical experience into philosophical, and in this case we come to leave our historical roots. And I suppose all of these historical and philosophical ideas you will implicate to this art, memory, curator, and experience artistic understanding of problem of colonization, decolonization. It's really very exciting. Thank you so much. you can, all of our participants, you can follow for the project of Oksana. And just now, your laboratory, can you explain more exactly? I can, excuse me, I can't visit because I'm busy all of time, but it's my dream to visit your laboratory now. Can you explain more something about this project that is now is continue.
Yeah. It's thank you very much. I will try to say only a few words to be short. We were colleagues from NGO Museum of Contemporary Art. We launched now a laboratory of memorial practices in which we invited artists, architects, journalists, people who are interested in processes of memorialization, and for 2 months we meet each week online, and we discuss different problems of memorialization, ethical problems, visual problems, legal problems, and so on and so far. And now in May, we will go to the practical part of our laboratory, and we are forming now the groups to work with 4 cases which we proposed for the projects of memorialization, and we are creating groups interdisciplinary, and the aim is to prepare the real project of memorial. And we have 4 cases. It's Kharkiv, Saltivka. So it's a very wide case, and we will propose to artists to work with the memory of this phenomena. Really, it's Mashun, village near Kiev, where there was a great battle in 2022, and it's forest with broken trees, and many people who were killed here, and people here used, for example, sound memorial, and it's very impressive for me. One case that is Odesa, it's the Alley of Glory, which need to be rethought, and we see such grassroots memorial initiatives in this place, and so we propose to our artists to work with it, and to propose some way how to join the memories of the Second World War, or the current war, and the war of 1856, the sieges of Odessa, and the military memory of Odessa. And one more case is Chernihiv, and it's a message of resilience of people who were in half siege, and they were very near to the situation to be occupied, and how they resisted. And so for our first meeting came 250 people, and we were very surprised and frightened, really, because we didn't waited for such a crowd. But now we understand that we really created a community, because in our chat people live their own life, they create collaborations, discuss some topics, they are absolutely active, and if you didn't look for a chat for a couple of hours, you see 500 messages. So we understand when we made our job, we joined people, we connected them, and they can live their own life. And in July, we will present the projects which will prepare our artists. And we hope that we will organize some big online event, offline event. But if we will have no resource to offline event, we will prepare online event, and we will speak and we will tell about the ideas of our artists. Really, we are basing on sociological researches which we made last year. So our colleagues, sociologists, made these researches. So we have some information about the common visions of people in Ukraine, how to work with the memory of this war, and we share this experience with our artists and involve them in this elaboration of the new language of memory, because each war, regrettably, needs the new language of memorialization. And because now we see a great number of new memorials, and all they are absolutely dreadful. So we need to create something normal. Yes. So
thank you. It's a great invitation to our collaboration with your project. I suppose we will think about too. Professor O'Sullivan, if I am correct. Thank you so much.
Just call me Luke. Apologies for being late for this, Oksana. I'm really sorry. I got the time difference wrong by an hour. I thought it started earlier, but listening to you talk, I just wonder if you know this one, Paul Ricoeur's Memory, History, Forgetting. I'll just put the link in the chat because it seemed, you know, a lot of what you're saying, it looks like you know it. So
sure.
Maybe can you say a little bit about, you know, how you think about Ricoeur then, if you're familiar with this, because this seems to bring up a lot of similar themes. I was just curious, you know, how you relate, if you relate what you're doing to Ricoeur's work at all.
Thank you very much for this question, because Ricoeur is such a philosophical childhood. Really, it's not about that it's something very simple and now I am adult, but it's something, the text of Ricoeur formed me as a person who worked with memory, and really many Ricoeur's ideas are actual for me now, and maybe we even in our glossary, I showed at the beginning the glossary on our website, and we have such a notion, memorial discontent, and it was used by Ricoeur to explain the situation of the normal space where people have different opinions, and they work in discussion, in finding the new optics. And Ricoeur launched for me this understanding, and my practical work was based on this book which you mentioned, really. So thank you very much. It's when I said about my childhood, yes, it's about what formed me as who I am now.
Thank you so much. And in this point, let me introduce our next speaker, Professor Luke David O'Sullivan. It's a great pleasure for us that you agree to be our next May speaker. And it's not so often at the time of our seminars when we can tell about future seminars. 22 of May, Luke David Sullivan will talk about categories, history, and historiographies. Yes, and maybe I'm grateful to Olena Mishalova. She's it's her assistance, it's her involvement, it's her desire to organize this new meeting. Maybe we have only some differences in the time, because I'm inviting you not 6 but 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Because
it'll be 9 o'clock my time. I think I'll make sure I get it right when when I come along in a couple of weeks. But thank you very much to Ellen for the invitation, and thank you very much for having me. I'm looking forward to it. I shall do my best to entertain you.
and with your presentation, we will broke the European American direction only. Just now, it will be Singapore.
Yes. Yeah. Asia calling.
Yeah.
Thank you. Looking forward.
Yeah. Thank you very much, all participants, for this dialogues, conversation, and this evening when we are thinking about commemoration, artist description of the difficult problem of our history, of our past and future. Be safe and be maybe think about our peace, our victory, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ina, for your efforts in organizing this very interesting meeting.
For our
Thank
common
you.
efforts without
Stay safe and
thank you so much.
have a nice evening and quiet night.
Yeah, and looking forward for May. Thank you very much.
It's our great desire with you too. What are the kind of philosophy of history? And next meeting, I suppose, we will open new vision this problem. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.